Welcome to Echoes of History. The history of humankind has for ages been narrated as a story of linear progression, a transition from hunter-gatherer existence to agriculture, from villages to cities, and then to the complex structures of civilization. However, this well-established narrative is being rattled by a whisper rising from the depths of modern archaeology. This whisper emanates from the dry hills near Şanlıurfa, in the heart of Anatolia, and its name is Göbeklitepe. Uncovered through systematic excavations beginning in the 1990s, this ancient complex is more than just an archaeological discovery. It is a petrified enigma that challenges all assumptions etched into humanity's collective memory. Dated to the 10th millennium BCE, precisely at the dawn of the Neolithic period when hunter-gatherer communities were thought to exist, Göbeklitepe demonstrates that humanity was capable of achieving complex religious architecture and large-scale organization long before agriculture and sedentary life. This video aims to present the story Göbeklitepe tells through academic findings, how it overturned established paradigms about the birth of civilization, and the ancient secrets it whispers to human history through an in-depth analysis. The discovery of Göbeklitepe was less a planned excavation and more a twist of fate. Initially noted in the 1960s by American archaeologist Peter Benedict, it was then mistakenly identified as a Byzantine graveyard. Years later, in 1994, Klaus Schmidt of the German Archaeological Institute took notice of the hill, which local farmers' strange stones hinted at extraordinary potential. Excavations led by Schmidt swiftly unearthed a monumental complex of massive T-shaped megaliths dating to the Neolithic period. These pillars, reaching up to 5.5 meters in height and weighing as much as 20 tons, revealed that the people of that era were not solely preoccupied with shelter and survival, but possessed a sophisticated aesthetic sense, engineering skills, and a shared belief system. What distinctly sets Göbeklitepe apart from other Neolithic settlements is that it was not a dwelling site but an entirely ritualistic temple complex. According to traditional archaeological paradigms, large-scale monumental architecture was a product of settled agricultural communities and social stratification. Yet, Göbeklitepe predates the earliest known agricultural practices by thousands of years, to a time when humanity was still largely hunter-gatherer. This fundamentally shakes the assumption that the Neolithic revolution, the emergence of agriculture and the transition to settled life was the foundation of civilization. Schmidt's hypothesis suggested that people didn't necessarily transition to settled life and agriculture out of necessity. Rather, the imperative to come together and organize to build these enormous temples might have driven them towards settled life and, consequently, agriculture. This was a revolutionary concept known as temple first, city second. The T-shaped megaliths, central to Göbeklitepe's architecture, are not merely piles of stone, but an atlas of symbols reflecting the worldview, beliefs, and social structure of the people of that era. These megaliths are stylized to resemble human figures. Arms and hands are often carved in relief on their sides, suggesting an anthropomorphic character. However, these figures lack faces, reinforcing interpretations that they might represent deities, ancestors, or spiritual beings. The surfaces of the megaliths and the surrounding stone benches are adorned with various wild animal figures such as scorpions, snakes, foxes, wild boars, vultures, ducks, and lions. These animal reliefs are not merely decorative elements but parts of complex scenes believed to carry deep symbolic meaning. For instance, snakes and scorpions are thought to represent danger or the underworld. Birds, especially vultures, are associated with funerary rituals, and foxes and boars highlight their importance in the hunting culture of the time. These symbols reflect the deep connection hunter-gatherer societies had with nature, the spiritual power they attributed to animals, and perhaps a hunting cult or shamanistic beliefs. Some figures on the megaliths, such as H or U-shaped symbols, do not resemble any known writing system but are speculated to be a form of proto-writing or symbolic communication. Various hypotheses suggest these symbols tell a story, represent a mythology, or record the celestial observations of that era. Through these symbols, Göbeklitepe expands our understanding of cognitive development, demonstrating how early abstract thought and a complex symbolic universe existed in human history. The exact purpose for which Göbeklitepe was constructed remains one of the most hotly debated topics among archaeologists and historians. Klaus Schmidt described it as the first temple, positing it was a central gathering place where hunter-gatherer communities performed religious rituals. This hypothesis supports the idea that a shared belief system could bring disparate groups together, triggering large-scale cooperation and thus serving as the impetus for transitioning to settled life. Religion, in this view, became the cornerstone of social organization and cultural unification. However, other theories exist. Some researchers suggest that the megaliths might have specific astronomical alignments, implying Göbeklitepe could have functioned as a type of ancient observatory. Tracking celestial events, seasonal cycles, and calendars was vital for hunter-gatherer societies, and such knowledge could plausibly be intertwined with religious ceremonies. Hypotheses also propose that stars and constellations might be associated with the animal figures on the megaliths. More radical theories claim that Göbeklitepe represents a sanctuary or monument to the rebirth of humanity after a great catastrophe such as the Great Flood. However, such theories are not supported by existing scientific evidence and are more speculative in nature. An academic approach requires evaluating the most plausible scenarios in light of available data. The current consensus leans towards Göbeklitepe being a religious and ritualistic center, though it's possible this function encompassed other social and cosmological roles. Göbeklitepe's most revolutionary contribution is its reshaping of our understanding of the Neolithic revolution, one of the cornerstones of human history. The traditional view was that agriculture, i.e., plant cultivation and animal domestication, triggered settled life, followed by complex social structures, religious centers, and monumental architecture. The agriculture first, temple second equation has the potential to be inverted by Göbeklitepe to temple first, agriculture second. Schmidt's hypothesis proposes that the need to construct and maintain a large-scale temple complex brought hunter-gatherer groups together, necessitating the production and storage of significant amounts of food. This imperative might have driven them to consciously sow and harvest wild grains, especially wheat, as the immediate vicinity of Göbeklitepe is the homeland of wheat's genetic ancestors. Thus, religious and social needs might have triggered a technological and economic revolution. This introduces the idea that agriculture may not have been merely an invention, but also the result of social organization towards a common goal. After approximately 1,000 years of use, around the mid-8th millennium BCE, Göbeklitepe appears to have been suddenly abandoned and deliberately filled with earth. This deliberate burial is as great a mystery as the site itself. Why was such a laboriously constructed complex so meticulously and intentionally interred? Several theories have been put forth. First theory, climate change. Environmental changes and resource depletion during that period might have rendered the hunter-gatherer lifestyle unsustainable, forcing people to migrate to other regions. Second theory, shift in belief systems. Perhaps new religious beliefs or cultural practices emerged, rendering the old rituals of Göbeklitepe obsolete. The act of burial could represent the closing of an old era or a desire to protect a sacred site. Third theory, disease or catastrophe. A plague or natural disaster might have led to the dispersal of the community. Fourth theory, deliberate closure. The most widely accepted theory is that Göbeklitepe completed a certain life cycle and was deliberately closed down. This practice is observed in sacred sites of the ancient world and could signify a new beginning or the dawn of a new era. Klaus Schmidt suggested that the abandonment of Göbeklitepe might be related to changes in social structure with the spread of agriculture. New settled agricultural societies might have needed new deities and new rituals. Göbeklitepe is a powerful reminder of the complexity and ever-changing nature of human history. This ancient temple, which overturned everything we thought we knew, not only offers us new insights into our past, but also invites us to rethink the foundations of our own civilization, the power of our beliefs, and the evolution of social organization. There are countless more secrets hidden beneath the earth of this colossal site, of which only a small portion has been excavated. As echoes of history, the whispers of Göbeklitepe teach us this. History is not a linear story, but a living organism constantly enriched, questioned, and rewritten by new discoveries. Future generations will further illuminate the truth behind these ancient stones and perhaps uncover even more startling facts about the origins of humanity. Göbeklitepe is not merely a reflection of the past, but an enduring testament to the boundless creativity and quest for meaning of the human spirit. The story continues in the shadow of the stones.